I guess ramble, but it's going to be perhaps a little bit more structured than normal. I'm going to be talking about some of my favourite games of the year, and also games which I'm looking forward to in 2017. Think of it as a kind of review of 2016, really, in terms of gaming context, I guess. Now, these are obviously just my personal opinions on games. Some omissions you will find from here, which are very popular, are things like Dark Souls 3, Overwatch, Doom, and Final Fantasy 15. There are either games which I just didn't really get into. In the case of like Overwatch, games I just haven't played, like Final Fantasy, or games which I played a fair amount of, but they never really quite clicked with me. In Doom and Dark Souls 3, that's the case there. But the rest of the games in my kind of list, I guess, are games which I've really enjoyed playing. Some of them I've played on the channel, and some of them I've just played in my own time as well. So this is no particular order either, but let's get started with XCOM 2. I think that was released around February time, and I have always been a massive XCOM fan. I played XCOM back when the very, very first game came out. I can't even tell you what year that was, but I was quite young, so it was a long time ago. And it was fantastic. I still think that's one of the greatest games that ever existed. I think it was XCOM Enemy Unknown, or UFO Enemy Unknown, I think it was called in the UK. Yeah, it was called UFO Enemy Unknown in the UK, and I think it was called XCOM elsewhere. And I spent so many hours on that game. So many. Loved it. Then it had a sequel, Terror from the Deep. I played that a bit. It was pretty much the first game, but with a reskin underwater, but that wasn't such a bad thing. Then came XCOM Apocalypse, I think, which is a very interesting game. It improves on a lot of things from the first game, and it doesn't do some things quite so well, but I still think it's well worth playing if you're interested in that series. And then came a long time where the XCOM series just didn't really do very much, and then all of a sudden they announced that they were doing this kind of reboot of it. It changed quite a lot of stuff. Instead of having like an unlimited amount of soldiers almost that you could take into battle, you only had up to a maximum of 6. I'm thinking 6. Yeah, it's got to be 6. It used to be able to take like 25, and it kind of streamlined a lot of things on there. Almost, you could say, simplified, but it was also still that very deep kind of turn-based strategy that everybody loved. XCOM 2 just took that to another level, in my opinion. I think it's the best XCOM game there is. Very, very kind of deep, I guess, sort of. XCOM's always been great at that kind of resource management side of things, but this just takes it to another level. It's got a pretty cool story. I like the fact that in it, and this isn't a spoiler, but the aliens won from the first game basically, and they run the Earth now, and you have to kind of adjust to that, and that's a really nice twist. On there, it's got some new classes. It's just all round a really good game. I put in a lot of hours into that game, completed it. Probably, I have to say, probably burnt myself out a little bit on it. It was the only thing I was playing for like a whole month or so. That was back when my channel was very new as well, so I wasn't updating as many videos or anything like that. Weird at the time as well. I never ever thought to do a playthrough of it. I'm not really sure why, but anyway, yeah, I really enjoyed it, and I'm considering doing a playthrough once I finish Civ 6, so kind of alternating, and then I would do a Civ 6 series after that, but we'll see. The one thing I haven't done on it is played the DLC of it, because I completed it before any of that was released, and I haven't gone back to it since. So yeah, that's definitely up there on my list of games which are the best games, I think, of 2016. Next up is Forza Horizon 3, which is just a fantastic racing game, really. It's that good line between simulation and arcade. You can do just lots of crazy things. You can put massive engines in Land Rovers and give them over 1,000 brake horsepower, but you can also do lots of little tweaks and tests and things like that in the game. You can adjust so many things so that if you want to have a more simulation type of race, you can. If you just want an arcade, you can do that too. And it's got that great kind of variety of gameplay within it. There's actually an expansion coming out soon, I believe, which takes it to like the snowy mountains, because Australia is quite well known for its snow. So that's a joke, by the way. But I don't know how they're going to do that. But hey, you have to have some sort of suspension of disbelief to be playing Forza anyway, because it is quite ridiculous in that sense, but a lot of fun. Yeah, I was looking forward to that for a while. It runs brilliantly on PC, from what I've heard as well. It runs brilliantly on Xbox One, which is great, and it's part of this kind of thing they're doing where anything that comes out on Xbox One is pretty much going to come out on PC, which is brilliant. It means I never have to buy an Xbox One, which I don't want to have to do, because not because I think it's bad, but because that's like a real hassle and a lot of money. So it's great that they're doing that. I wish PlayStation would do that and I wouldn't have to own my PlayStation anymore, but such is life. Obviously you can understand why Xbox being owned by Microsoft are bringing everything to Windows 10, which is owned by Microsoft. It all makes sense. But yeah, really loved Forza. I am going to be doing another video when the expansion comes out, or the DLC, whatever you want to call it. So stay tuned for that, because I know that a lot of people really enjoyed the first video I did and wanted to see a bit more on that. And yeah, I am going to do that. I'm not sure when it's coming out. I think it's going to be within 2016, but I'm not 100% sure. Next up we have Inside, which is a kind of platform puzzler. I did a series, I played through the whole thing for my channel and just really enjoyed it. It's one of those puzzle games where it what I kind of like about it is I was never really stuck. There were always things which just made sense and allowed me to kind of work it out. It just felt very natural in that way. Sometimes puzzle games can be very obscure and you just kind of get stuck and you're like, well, what am I supposed to do now? And sometimes they can just be kind of like, they can seem quite complicated, but actually it's all fairly simple and it keeps you moving along, which is quite nice. Within the game, I really enjoyed it. The kind of story, I guess if you could say story, is really intriguing, like trying to work out what's gone on, who you are, what this world is that you're in as you go through the game is really good, and it has genuinely one of the weirdest endings I've ever seen in a video game, without doubt. But I really liked it. It was by the guys who made Limbo, and if you liked Limbo in any way, then I would suggest checking Inside Out. Is that some sort of pun? I think there may be. Yeah, it is probably. Anyway, so that's Inside, which I really enjoyed. Next up we have No Man's Sky. What can you say about No Man's Sky? There was a lot of hype surrounding No Man's Sky. A lot of people for some reason seemed to think it was going to be the be all and end all of video games, the next Minecraft or something like that. I never thought that would be the case. It had a studio where Hello Games, which had employed like 8 people. I mean, I don't know if anybody has ever looked into how many people work in a studio such as like an Ubisoft studio or an Activision studio, or one of Sony studios, but it's like hundreds, if not sometimes thousands of people. And for me, I always was like, this looks really interesting. No Man's Sky, this procedurally generated kind of exploration game within the universe where there's going to be some cool things happening as well, and generally I've not been disappointed with the game. It had some issues when it came out with how it ran and stuff like that, but it was pretty quickly solved within a week or so, and I've not had any since the Foundation updates come out, which adds some interesting stuff to it. It gives you a reason to be doing some of the stuff you're doing, which is kind of nice. But overall, I just really love the exploration, the relaxing qualities of the game. I love the art style as well. I think it's amazing, and certainly not disappointed with the money I spent on the game at all, which is, all you can say really. I'm still playing it now. It's December. The game came out in July, August. So there's something to be said for that, I guess. But that's, again, my personal opinion. A lot of people I know feel differently. Next up, we have Rise of the Tomb Raider. This is, again, a game I didn't do anything of on my channel. Just played it through myself. Really love these new Tomb Raider games. I loved the first one that came out. I really like this one as well. I never played the original Tomb Raiders, so I have nothing to compare it to. I have no kind of cherished memories which might be tarnished by this new reboot, but I just really like it. It's a lot of fun. I must admit I prefer the bits where you're not in combat to the bits where you are, if that makes sense. So I prefer the kind of almost puzzle qualities of trying to work your way from one point to another by having to use all sorts of different mechanics to the actual kind of combat style of things. But it's the combat doesn't make me want to just not play the game. It's still fine, really. But yeah, I like the story as well. It's a little bit ridiculous, as it always should be, and generally, it's got some good kind of elements to the game, like the kind of crafting of things and stuff like that. The upgrade systems are pretty cool as well, so I like all of that. Next up, we have Firewatch. Just a really lovely game, I think. Some people like to do this thing where they're like, oh, that can't be classed as a video game. There's another one later on this, which is definitely an example of this, but it doesn't really matter, does it? It just doesn't. If you enjoy something and you want to jump in, and whether you count yourself as playing it or not, it doesn't matter. And Firewatch is just one of those games where it was walking around was just so nice. The story is brilliant, and it has some of the best voice acting I've ever seen in a video game. It feels so natural, and again, the story is just really, really good. It keeps you guessing right until the end. It's amazing. They've just released this update which adds audio commentary and kind of a free reign of walking around as well, which is great. Definitely one of those kind of story games I really like, and obviously did a full playthrough on my channel of it as well. One of the first of those type of games I did, actually, I think, after Everybody's Gone to the Rapture. Next up we have The Division. There's something about this game that I kind of play it and I'm like, for me, I'll tell you what it reminds me of. It reminds me of Assassin's Creed 1. Assassin's Creed 1 was a game when it came out which everybody was like, wow, this looks amazing. This is a new type of game we haven't seen before. And The Division, and to a certain extent, is that almost. It's this kind of open world thing that's happened within this real space that you can kind of go around. It has this amazing mechanic of the dark zone in the middle, which is this kind of foreboding place where anything goes. The story's okay. I'd say it's okay. It's a little bit Destiny-esque in what it does, but less of whereas Destiny's obviously not open world and usually involves teaming up with people. You can play most of the Division on your own. Of course, teaming up with people is great fun as well. But in just bringing it back to the Assassin's Creed 1 comparison, there was just something lacking from it to make it a great game. It's a game I've spent a lot of hours in, without doubt. And I'm jump back in the survival mode, which adds a lot to the game as well. But it's one of those ones where what I'm really looking forward to is the sequel, in the way Assassin's Creed 2 was just a far superior game to the first one. I have a feeling, and there's definitely going to be Division 2, by the way. I think it might well be the best-selling game this year, although it certainly was up until November, when you had like the Call of Duties and stuff like that, which usually win the race. There's definitely going to be a second one, and hopefully they will take away from it some of the stuff they did wrong, and learn from it, and make just an amazing game for the second one. But again, it's not, and I'm not saying that there's a huge amount wrong with the Division. There isn't, and they fixed a lot of things which were wrong in the beginning. But it has the potential, I think, to go on and just be something. This series of it has the potential to be really good. So I don't know when they'll do a second one. I'm sure they will, but I'll be looking forward to it. Next up, we have something that's very different, and that's Abzu. For me personally, this came out of nowhere. Like, I hadn't seen anything on it, I hadn't seen a trailer, nothing. And I was listening to a podcast, and some people were raving about it and saying, "Oh, it's coming out like next week." And I was like, "Oh, I should check this out." And then they said, "Oh, it's made by the people, or some of the people from who made Journey." And I was like, "Oh, now you have my attention." I really, really loved Journey. The first time I played it was when I did a playthrough on my channel. Very, very late to the party there, but it was amazing. Abzu as well was brilliant. Really enjoyed it. Just really fun, and kind of like it keeps you in the same way Journey did. Like, it keeps you guessing all the way through. What's going to happen, what's going on here. This also does the same. Very, very similar story to Journey, I think. Perhaps a little bit too similar, if that makes sense. But just looks amazing. Like, those kind of fish, schools of fish going around, and the plant life underwater will, be some of the most beautiful scenes that I've seen in a game this year, for sure. Next up, we have a game which I didn't play on this channel, which is Deus Ex: Mankind Divided. I was a big fan of the previous Deus Ex, not original, but previous, A Human Evolution. It just was a good, fun kind of. What it is it's a stealth game where, unless you're really, really good at stealth, everything's going to go wrong, and then you react to it from there. You get these cool kind of cybernetic powers, things like that. The story was pretty good in the first one, but I think this one, number one, it looks amazing. Like, it is really beautiful, and it kind of like just ups the ante on everything, really. And it's a really intriguing game, and I love the way it's this kind of like almost cyberpunk future, but it also kind of like reflects a lot of what current events are happening as well. Yeah, really enjoyed that game. Again, didn't play any of it on my channel, just played it in my own time. Next up, we have Civ 6. What can you really say about Civilization 6? It's Civilization 5, but better. They've added in some new stuff to it. It's not really gone away from the formula that you which has been going for a long time. Just really enjoyable. Obviously, playing through it currently on my channel. It's my first game that I've played on there, and I look forward to playing more. And I'll still be playing it probably by the time Civ 7 comes out. Next up, we have Battlefield 1. This is one of those games where, I always intended to play it. I didn't think I'd like it that much, but I like it for reasons which are kind of weird, because it feels so realistic. It's actually almost eerie. It really does feel like you're in war. Like, it looks amazing. The sound design is amazing. And just everything about it, the attention to detail that you have is just incredible. So it's just a lot of fun. You don't play like a lot of it. I just drop in every now and then for a half hour, quite rarely, but I really enjoy when I do. And I'm really terrible at the game, but it's still enjoyable. Next up we have Owlboy, which is a little kind of platform game, pixel art, but absolutely stunning. Currently still playing through it on the channel, so I haven't finished it yet. But really good, really enjoyable. Again, something which came out of nowhere really for me. Just kind of heard about it just before it was coming out. Read the reviews, was like, wow, this seems really good. Yeah, I've been interested in kind of playing a platformer, and then it's just kind of surprised me all along. Its storytelling is really, really good. Its characters are amazing in it as well, and it's not often something you see in a platformer. But mechanically, obviously, very sound as well. I don't know if I can call it a platformer because you can fly, but I am going to. Next up, we have a game which I am, again, still currently playing through. I haven't played on my channel, but I am playing through on my Twitch channel, so I'm streaming it, and that's Dishonored 2. I was a big fan of the first Dishonored, loved the art style, loved the world it was creating. Thought the game was really good, loved the gameplay, the kind of stealth assassin, and this one just picks it up and, just improves on everything really. Graphically it looks amazing. The gameplay is really fun. You obviously have two choices this time. You can play as Emily or Corvo. Both have similar but different powers, and it has this nice way of kind of progressing through and making you feel like you're getting better at the game, even though you're probably not. It's just that your character's getting more powerful, if that makes sense. So you kind of start off without any powers, and as you get them and you go through, it just makes everything a bit easier, which I think makes you feel like you're getting better at the game, which is a nice feeling. I just finished so I haven't finished the game yet. I just finished the Clockwork Mansion level, or nearly finished it anyway, and I must say that is a triumph of level design. That is just amazing. So really looking forward to finishing that game through, and I think it's a game I'll probably play off camera through again as Corvo, because I'm playing as Emily, and play a different style through it as well. So I'm trying to be a very low chaos, not kill anybody, stealth kind of person, although if you're watching his streams you'll know that doesn't often go to plan. But still, there you go. Next up we have Planet Coaster, a game which I was keeping an eye on for a while. It was always on my radar because I play Elite Dangerous, and it's made by the same people, so I'd always see things about it everywhere. I knew it was in kind of like fairly early beta, but when it was released I thought, yeah, I could really fancy this. I hadn't really looked into it that much, and it's amazed me when I've played it. I've enjoyed it so much. I'm only playing at the minute like a sandbox version on the channel, so I haven't got that deep into the kind of management side of it, the simulation side of it, but I've always loved these kind of theme park, theme park building management games, ever since the original Theme Park by Bullfrog, way back. And then Roller Coaster Tycoon obviously improved upon that, and now Planet Coaster is kind of like the next evolution from there, and it is amazing. It really is. The things you can do on that, it is just incredible. Again, I haven't really looked into the side of actually trying to build a successful park. I've just really enjoyed mucking around in it, and it's great. It's incredible. I love it. I can't wait to play more of it. It was something I just picked up to kind of like get through the time of not having Minecraft on the channel, but reality is I think it's been quite a popular series, and I think that's because it's just so much fun as well to do things in there. So I'm going to continue to play it, and I'm sure I'll be playing it for a while as well. Next up we have Eagle Flight. This is a virtual reality game. I think it's out now on all of them, so Vive, Oculus Rift and PlayStation, or PSVR. Maybe it's not out on Oculus Rift yet, but it is coming. It's fairly simple, like you fly around and you move your head to direct where you're going, probably one of the best VR games I've played, without doubt. And it doesn't try to do too much, which I think is important in VR at the minute, because it's still very new for a lot of people. And if something tries to overcomplicate things at the minute, then people are going to be put off from it. So it keeps things simple. It looks really pretty, and it's just very immersive as well. And it's got that kind of like repeat gameplay where you're like, I just want to get a better time on this, or a better score on this. And you just want to keep retrying and keep retrying. There's another game like that later on as well, which I'll talk about. But yeah, if you've got a VR, I really recommend Eagle Flight. It's a lot of fun. Next up, so I mentioned about like Firewatch now, when a game isn't a game. Next up we have Virginia. This is, for me, it was an amazing experience of playing through that game. There's no dialogue in the game. You don't even really do that much in the game. It's not even that interactive, but it's just got this amazing story. And I think it's something which people don't credit video games with enough, which is you can go and watch a film, you can go and read a book, but you never quite feel like you're there, if you see what I mean. It always feels like it's a story, and don't get me wrong, I love reading books, I love watching films, but there's something about playing video games and something about the stories they can tell which just is a very different experience to what you can get in a film or a book or TV or anything like that. And even as I say, it's not hugely interactive in there. There's not really gameplay stuff to do. Sure, you can wander around and look at things and do that sort of stuff, but the story is really magnificent. I loved it. And the music is amazing as well. So I think video games, or this type of like interactive story, will always have a place, because it can just do something which you can't get from other types of media, I think, which is that immersion. Next up we have Enter the Gungeon, which is a kind of little like shooter. Think of kind of a bit like a cross between Nuclear Throne and The Binding of Isaac, I guess. It's just a lot of fun, really, to go around. Incredible, like amazing weapons. It's like a top-down kind of like shooter, procedurally generated as well. So it's always different, different characters which do different things. Very much Binding of Isaac, but the difference being like the theme of it as well, and stuff like that. And yeah, a lot of fun to play. I think really, if you're a fan of like The Binding of Isaac, then it's one to check out for sure. Next up we have Farming Simulator 17. I played this on stream, and I've played it a little bit off stream as well. Just a lot of fun. It's one of those things like American Truck Simulator where it's kind of you think it's kind of a joke, but actually when you play it, you're like, oh wait, this is actually fun. Like, it's kind of crazy to say, but like, actually, combine harvesting a field, like, it's actually really good fun. It just sounds totally weird. It's incredibly satisfying and a lot of fun. And yeah, it's one of those ones where it's like, you can't really comment on a game like this until you've played it. So I kind of look sometimes at things like Train Simulator, and I'm like, who the hell is playing this game, but actually, until I've played the game, I can't really comment. And if it's the sort of thing where you vaguely think like, might be interested in that, then I recommend it. It's incredibly relaxing as well. It's great. So lastly, on the games of 2016, it's actually the most recent game I've been playing, and that is Steep, which is a kind of extreme snow sports kind of game, really. Think of it as a bit like Tony Hawk or Skate, but with snowboards. And also it's Ubisoft, so it kind of does that weird kind of open world thing where you have to go and unlock different areas and stuff like that, which they always do. But just a lot of fun, very relaxing to play as as well, even though it's kind of like quite fast. You have like, at the minute, you have 4 different sports, I guess you would call them. You have your wingsuit, snowboarding, skiing, and paragliding. Paragliding's the only one where I'm a bit like, this isn't great. Think of it as a bit like parachuting in Grand Theft Auto 5 or something, where you're like, I kind of have to do this so I don't fall to my death, but it's not that great. The rest of them, though, are really good. Snowboarding, skiing, you do all sorts of tricks on, as well as just trying to get from A to B as quickly as possible. So there's lots of different events and races, stuff like that. The wingsuit's great as well. It's got a really nice sense of speed to the game. It doesn't feel like it's out of control, but it does feel fast. And yeah, it's a lot of fun. It's one of those games which I think is going to be very much under the radar for a lot of people. I think the people who do pick it up really enjoy it. So that's my games of 2016. And I've also said about my kind of notable omissions from there, which are either games I haven't played or just games which I know are good. Like, I know the difference between a good game and a bad game. Actually, Watch Dogs 2 I would add to that list as a game I picked up, played for a couple of hours and went, I know this is a good game, but it's just not for me, you know. So I got a refund on it. DLC wise, so I wanted to talk a little bit about some of my favourite DLC of the year. We've had 2 Fallout, well, we've had more than 2, but the 2 main kind of Fallout 4 DLCs in Far Harbor and Nuka World. Still playing through both of those on the channel and really, really enjoying them. I love Fallout 4. I think it's amazing. I don't think it gets the credit it deserves. And I say that, and the game's being given generally 9s in reviews. But there's still a lot of people who are like, it's not as good as Fallout 3, or it's not as good as New Vegas. I think it's better than both of those games. I'm sure a lot of people will disagree with me, but I think you're looking through things as rose-tinted glasses. It is better than both of those games, trust me. And the DLCs are really good as well, so I recommend it. I play a fair amount of Elite Dangerous, and in that we've had some free updates in there, the Engineers and Guardians updates, which have added some cool things into it. Still kind of hinting at bigger things to come, and I think if you're a fan of Elite Dangerous, I think we'll see an expansion next year which will change a lot. You'll kind of know what I'm talking about, but it's a game which, again, I don't think it gets enough credit as a game. It's so much fun to play, it really is. It's a bit of a grind once you get to a certain level, for sure, absolutely, but they have addressed that a fair amount by now. Still really good. I talked about The Division earlier, but the survival mode they've added in is really, really good. So much fun. The Division is always one of those games where it's like you come out of it with stories. You're like, oh my god, this thing happened, or this thing, and survival mode just umps that up to like 15, you know. The very first one I did in survival mode I've got up on my channel, and was incredible. It really was. I'll never have another experience in it like that one. I'm sure I'll have plenty more which are amazing, but it's really good. And if you're a fan of Division, I 100% recommend the survival mode DLC to it. It really does take the game in a really nice direction, I think, as well as, you know, just you can play the normal game if you want to as well, which is good. And I also class Skyrim Special Edition as a kind of a DLC type thing, because it is essentially the same game, just a lot prettier. But I am loving playing through Skyrim again. It's so cool. It really is. It's such a special game for me personally, and I know for so many people out there as well it is. But it's just great to get into that and again and play through. And it's always been, I've said this so many times, it's probably boring now, but it's just been an ambition of mine to have a Skyrim playthrough on my channel. And when I heard about the special edition, I was like, yep, this is perfect. No, not finally, penultimately, in the DLC section. Hearthstone's had 2 updates this year. Has it had 2 this year? No, I can't remember. I think Whispers of the Old Gods was last year. No, it was this year. We've had 3 this year. God. Whispers of the Old Gods, Karazhan and Gadgetzan. I've loved them all. I really have. I really love Hearthstone. Almost to the point whereby I think I could not play any other game and I'd be happy just to play Hearthstone. It's such an interesting game. Like, it's frustrating as hell sometimes. It really is. But then the victories just feel so much sweeter sometimes. It's a game which, personally, from my point of view, the things I enjoy about it are not so much the winning and losing. It's great to win, obviously, but it's the actual, like, doing the crazy things in it, the actual gameplay of it, and all that kind of stuff is where I really enjoy it. It's just such a fun game. I think the crazy things you can do in it as well, when you pull them off, is so satisfying. And I think everybody kind of loves, that kind of randomness of the game itself. And it's an incredibly hard thing to get that balance between randomness and like actual, actually good players having an impact in games. And I think that for the most part, Hearthstone does it quite well. It's had its moments, but it's getting there, shall we say. So that is the... Oh no, there's one more. There's one more, and that is The Witcher 3, Blood and Wine. I guess you could include Hearts of Stone, but I can't remember if that came out this year, but I know Blood and Wine did. Blood and Wine is, for me, the best DLC there has ever been for a video game. And that's a bold statement because I'm loving Far Harbor and Nuka World. I loved the other expansions on the Fallout games. I love the Skyrim's stuff. There's been some really great DLC out there. Mass Effect does some great DLC, but Blood and Wine for me just takes it to another level. It just created this world which was actually, dare I say it, better than the original one. It had so many interesting characters, such an interesting storyline, and just the world itself was so amazing to be in. And yeah, it was great. Really, really loved it a lot, so much. And it makes me really sad that there's not going to be another Witcher game for a long, long time. But good things come to those who wait, I guess. So that's the games which I've enjoyed this year, 2016. But what about 2017? What is it I'm looking forward to in 2017 that's coming out? There's a few. The first one, probably the main one I'm looking forward to, is Mass Effect Andromeda. I'm a massive Mass Effect fan. There's a bit of a pun there, I guess. Absolutely adored it from the very first one through to the third one. Loved every single one of them. The characters and story of the game is just second to none, I think, of just about any game out there. Just incredible. Love the setting, love the storyline. That's the only thing which slightly worries me with Andromeda, is I loved the Reaper storyline. It was so good. The threat level just ramping up through each game until you get to the third one, where it just almost feels hopeless. And I don't know how Andromeda's going to kind of recreate the same thing. But I'm just really looking forward to being in that universe again. And I think from what I've seen of some trailers and little bits, and I'm not going to spoil too much, so I probably won't watch any more before it comes out, but it does look like they've added quite a lot of really cool stuff to it, which is pretty awesome. So very, very much looking forward to Mass Effect Andromeda, and definitely will be playing that through on the channel when it comes out. Next up we have the South Park game, The Fractured But Whole, which, if you played the first South Park game, it was just brilliant. And the second, it was so funny. It was one of those games where it's like literally laughing my whole way through the game, which is very, very rare in video games. Like, sometimes you can have a game which can just be really silly and it has that novelty factor which wears off. Sometimes you have a video game which has funny parts in it and you're like, oh yeah, that's good. Or a funny character. South Park, the original South Park, it's just, I was just laughing my whole way through. It was hilarious. Obviously, if you don't like South Park's humour, it's probably not for you, but I happen to, so it was really good, and I'm really looking forward to that. It was supposed to be released this year, 2016, but it got pushed back 2017, so hopefully we'll see it there, and hopefully if it's as good as the first one, then it's job done, basically. Next up, we have Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. I've been playing through Wind Waker on the channel. It's the first ever Zelda game I've played, and I'm really enjoying it. I love the kind of progression, the open worldiness of Wind Waker that you have, and I think Breath of the Wild is going to be pretty similar, and as well as taking it in lots of new directions. I'm also looking forward to the Nintendo Switch. I hope to play Breath of the Wild on the Nintendo Switch. I think it looks like a good fun console. I like the dual use of it as a kind of like a home console as well as a portable one. Yeah, I hope it's good, basically. I hope it's good. I think Breath of the Wild will definitely be good, but I hope the Nintendo Switch is more of a return to form for Nintendo consoles after the Wii U, which is not bad, but it just couldn't compete, could it, with Xbox One and the PlayStation 4. Next up we have Prey. The reason why I'm interested in Prey is mostly because it's a Bethesda game, and I just seem to like anything that comes out of their kind of publishing house, I guess. It looks really interesting. I didn't play any of the first one, and I know it's pretty much unrelated, but I know it's got a very Dead Spacey kind of vibe to it, which looks super cool, so I'll be keeping an eye on that one as well. Another one as well, which might not be on many people's radar, but it's Mountain Blade 2. I'm a massive fan of the first Mountain Blade. If you've never played it, if you look at screenshots and stuff like that, you're probably like, wow, this game, what did it come out in, like 1992 or something? But it's actually really, really good. It basically, you start off as this kind of peasant, and you work your way up until you're like a king, and you build an army, and you can siege and do stuff like that. And the first one certainly had its problems, but the overall kind of like scale of the game was just magnificent. And what I'm hoping is they improve on some of the mechanics of the first one, kind of smarten it up a bit, but keep the overall kind of feel and scale of the game, and then they'll have something very special. There's a mod for the first one, which is a Game of Thrones mod, and it's brilliant. If you're a fan of Game of Thrones, then it's awesome. Yeah, so looking forward to that one. Ghost Recon Wildlands as well. Looks like it could be a lot of fun. It kind of looks a bit like the Division-esque, and obviously it's by Ubisoft and everything, so it's a Tom Clancy game as well, so it's probably even by the same people. I don't happen to know offhand, but I would imagine it would be. But yeah, very much looks like a kind of a Division-esque game, but obviously very different settings, very different kind of style to it. It does worry me slightly, because one of the things I do love about the Division is the atmosphere the game has. It's a very unique setting in a kind of New York, which has had this massive virus in it. It's kind of very bleak, so we'll have to see what this one's like, but it looks like it could be a lot of fun. So I'll be keeping an eye on that. And also there's a possibility of an Assassin's Creed game coming out. I would imagine we're going to see one towards the end of 2017. I love Assassin's Creed games, and hopefully them taking a year off is going to do wonders for the series. Now, I personally think Syndicate is a great game, and I personally think that Unity, the one before, is a great game. So, if I'm getting more of the same but with a different setting, then I'm not going to be disappointed. But people are saying that they're going to bring in some special things with this one because they've had that year out, and yeah, hopefully they will do. It's rumoured to be set in Egypt, like ancient Egypt, which could be really, really cool. Really, really cool. But we'll have to wait and see, I guess. On the one hand, though, I would miss the kind of streets and the. I mean, one of the things I definitely loved about Syndicate was the fact they were set in London in the Victorian era. Like, that is just amazing, you know, as somebody who A, lives in London currently, and B, you know, obviously every English person studies the Victorian era at school, so, you know, that setting was amazing to begin with for me, so I hope it won't lose anything by going, but to be fair, I have studied ancient Egypt a fair amount and I really do like that, so if it's there, it could be good, but we'll see, I guess. There's also rumours they might go to, say, World War One or something like that. Again, could be really cool, but we'll have to wait and see, I guess. And finally, the last thing I'm looking forward to is actually a kind of, I guess, expansion of a game, which is for Fallout 4. Apparently, they're going to be releasing the VR for that in 2017. I've seen it being tested by people, and just the thought of being able to play Fallout 4 in VR, I think that would just be crazy. That would be absolutely crazy. I don't think I'd ever leave the house again. But yeah, that would be really awesome. I hope that does happen. I don't know whether it would be free or what or how it works really, but I'd definitely be looking forward to that. So thank you so much for joining me on this ramble about the games I've played this year, what I've got coming up for next year as well. Obviously, what I hope as well as the big games I'm looking forward to, there's always going to be those ones coming in under the radar, which you know, the Abzus, the Virginias, the Insides, you know, those types of games, Planet Coaster almost as well, games which are not going to be on this list as big kind of AAA releases, but are games which I have a lot of fun with. So yeah, thank you so much for joining me, guys. As always, it's been my pleasure, and I'll catch you guys next time.